Hi friends, it's Tricia here, and it's been more than a year since, I think it's been more than a year since I did the Right Now Life that you got to see last time from me, where I talked about grace in our parenting. And you know what? It was such a new thing that God was teaching me then, that I don't know that I still had the words quite yet, what it was that God was kind of showing me in that season with that particular said child. Now, since then, as I mentioned before, I have 4 kids, and they're always in a state of influx. And so this particular kid that I was talking about more than a year ago is actually just coming into his own. We are so ridiculously excited and just feel so blessed that he is in such a good place, and he is flourishing. I mean flourishing. So that's good news. But as I said, going back to the kids being in influx, always there, if one's good, somebody else is not. And that has been the case. So we have another difficult season with another child. And anyway, just going back to what my last video, kind of just learning about how do I parent with a grace and with a kingdom perspective. My fleshly perspective is, this is so inconvenient. My fleshly perspective says, this is so hard. Why can't you get it together? Why do we keep going around the same issues every single day? My fleshly perspective just says, I must be doing a bad job. Or, I don't know. How as parents, our mind starts going down into this imaginary hole. Well, if they're this, and then this next thing happens, and then the following thing, and my goodness, before we know it, we just think, we think the worst. The worst is on its way, And so along with all that frustration that's constantly building up, we just find ourselves constantly feeling like I have very little positive to say to said child. I know as parents, we have no trouble telling others how awesome they are, because we do get the benefit of seeing them at their best as well, right? But neither do we share how hard it really is too. And so I find myself kind of similarly in that same place again. And as I was preparing the video for release, the first one, the one I did back in, I believe it was September of 2017. Now here we are in, right now it's February of 2019. And I just thought, as I was looking at that video, I thought, boy, there's so much that I was just starting to grasp right then that is a right now word for me. And here is what I probably was just beginning to say, and I didn't quite get it together. And I hope that with this video, I might be better able to share with you what I'm learning and what I continue to stumble through. But by God's grace, we just keep doing the thing, right? So what I was learning is the difference in our parenting when we have a kingdom perspective. And what I mean by that is when I consider about how the Father that Jesus knew, being so kind and trustworthy, and that, he was always seeking our good. Well, if I can remember that when the Lord is seeking out my good, even if it hurts, it's good news. Because when God points out something wrong in us, it isn't to tell us how bad we are, but it's seeking our transformation. You see, grace isn't permissiveness. Grace, it's the fuel that allows the transformation. You know what I'm saying? Does this kind of make sense yet? Grace isn't saying that your wrong is okay. Grace is seeking your good so that when something is revealed, it's good news. So I was thinking, how do I apply that to my parenting? And often I just feel like I'm constantly pointing out all the wrong. Well, when I begin to have the kingdom perspective, I'm all of a sudden given kind of a freedom to call out the wrong in our children and say, what you're doing is not okay, But let's take it a step further. In the same way that our Heavenly Father calls us close to Him, we can call our children close to us. In the same way that our Heavenly Father is seeking out our heart transformation, we can also be helping to seek out our children's heart transformation. And how do we do that, right? Well, one of the things that we do, we try to model to them, to kind of a think it out situation. But you know what? Sometimes that fails too. So what I'm trying to teach my kids in a way that I'm not in a formal way, but perhaps the best thing I can teach them is just by example and by being transparent with my children that mom gets it wrong and God tells me, and I could choose to be difficult about that and resist. But I do know that my Father is trustworthy, and hopefully we're teaching our kids that we are trustworthy as well. And that when wrong is called out, that's actually our opportunity to lean into God and to take it all things to Him. And so my challenge right now is that the next time that said child gets herself into some trouble, that we'll talk about it when she's ready. Sometimes she's not. And I gotta give her the time that she needs. But when she's ready, that we can together take it to God and offer it up to Him. And you know what? I know slowly our kids are gonna begin to learn to take their, they'll begin to take ownership themselves. So when things, go wrong and there's bad decisions, as they get older, they'll learn how to take that to their Heavenly Father. And hopefully they'll learn to receive that conviction as very good news. God is seeking out our transformation. He's not angry at us. And I'm not saying that it's okay, when let me correct myself. I'm saying, yes, Mom and Dad, it is okay to be angry, but that anger is fueling. It's because something's not right. But let's use it in a way. Let's use that as a fuel to take our kids and point them back to truth. Point them back to Jesus Christ, the only heart transformer. Because we can do all the punishment and we can do all the things, and yes, it is necessary, it is important. So I'm saying I bless us all to continue to do and have those boundaries with them and have discipline for them. But let's not forget that important step of that reconciliation, where we come back together and that we can take all these things back to God. I think it's going to start a foundation in them that they will never depart from. So there's hope, Mom and Dad. There's hope for me. There's hope for you. God bless you, and happy parenting. I love you guys. Bye.